right, here we are at the 2023 Red Bull Snow Scramble in Copemish, Michigan at the Twisted Trail ORV Park. I'm with Dan Scism in his 2019 Yamaha YXZ 1000 SS. It's mostly stock buggy with the exception of aftermarket cams, exhaust, and an ECU flash tuning, and of course the tires, which you'll see in a moment. This will be my first side-by-side race. I'll be co-piloting with Dan, and it wasn't easy to arrive at this starting line, and I'll tell you why. Because first, Dan failed to pass the tech inspection. His tire studs were 1/16 of an inch too long. They're supposed to be 3/16 of an inch. Right there, there's the ones that are too long by 1/16 of an inch. Okay, and these are passing here. These are 3/16 of an inch. And so, luckily he had some spare tires, but he didn't have extra studs. So unfortunately, he had to remove his brand new Super ATV Warrior tires and throw on some much older Dirt Commanders that were pretty worn, but they allowed us to race. And once we got them on, realized there was a flat on the back left side, but we aired it up and noticed this big tire bulge. But Dan had something for that too. It's called tire balls. 16 of them line these tires. They're like little bladders that prevent riding on rim. So we got past that obstacle, and then Dan went on to the qualifying lap. Okay, this decides your grid order pattern, or where you'll be starting the race. And I was waiting for Dan to return when suddenly they said that Dan Scism was stranded. So Dan comes back to arm himself with a crescent wrench and a channel lock pliers because his tie rod had busted off. At this time, the pros were qualifying, so we had to wait for them to clear the track first before inspecting the problem.
Oh, come on. Come on. There you go. Oh, my knuckles hurt so bad right now. There we go.
Scalpel, sponge.
Cedrin.
So it turns out nothing broke except Dan's knuckles, but a few threads had come out, and which sort of stripped out the first few threads. And after about 30 minutes of tinkering, we were able to get it back on. And once we got her tightened down and the tires straightened out, we were good to go. And we're back, and the 10-second countdown started, and we're off. Here we go, baby. Woo! Talk about an adrenaline rush. And getting ready to round this first corner, I noticed that there is a guy on his side. And I wasn't able to figure out who that was, but it reminded me of the race that followed this in the pro class. There goes CJ Greaves in first place, followed by his dad, Johnny Greaves, in second. And then up behind them in third place, here comes Thomas Ramm in his Can-Am Maverick X3, and he rolls it. And luckily nobody was injured. But as fate would have it, Jimmy Moore is following in fourth place, comes and takes third place, which he's gonna maintain until the very end, landing him the podium. So congratulations to the guys in the pro class, but back to the sportsman class. This event is made up of two classes, the pro and the sportsman. And the sportsman is the one that we're in. There's 26 racers in this one, and then there's 23 in the pro class for a total of 49 racers. And I am entrusting my life to Dan right now. Dan the man has got my life in his hands. And as you can see, I'm looking pretty tense, all right? It was about this time where I realized that Dan was quite relaxed, and I, on the other hand, was quite tense, and I'm white knuckling. I was thinking about this at this time. I'm going, I am literally white knuckling this safety bar here. So I try to loosen up. One thing that I learned from quad racing is you really don't want to stay too tense. It burns up your energy, especially when you're quad racing. That's something that you need. Here, it doesn't matter as much, but it's gonna help me if we crash, if I'm actually a little more flexible anyway, I would imagine. I mean, I'm no expert in crashing in side-by-side races, but something tells me it's better to be a little loose, you know? So here we go, entering the woods. Woo! Getting exciting. What's gonna happen? 45 minutes of racing and 4 laps later, we'll know. And by the way, I know this isn't the pro class, but I got a pro tip for you. Do not eat food right before the race. Unless, of course, you're Dan the Man Scism, in which you can handle it. But I will tell you that I am prone to motion sickness, and I was very close to throwing up. And I hadn't eaten for about 3 hours prior. But I was real close by the end of this. I don't know how Dan did it, but he managed to eat a full meal about 10 minutes before takeoff, and he did just fine. But it's pretty common in this sport for people to, let's say, make a mess in their helmets, okay? So I got through it all right. Gary Yurchison tried giving me his meal ticket, which I gladly took, and then I decided to change my mind at the last minute and instead just watch Dan eat. And I ate afterwards after my stomach calmed down. Now here we are, fast approaching a racer to our right. I cannot tell who it is, but to our left, 275, Vance Wilson gains position. Now at this point in the race, we're somewhere between 16th and 18th place. I can't tell precisely from the video. And on our left, number 6 car is stranded, Ryan Dunham. Those were race officials back there. My secondary camera that is supposed to see in the rear view for me stopped working a minute into the race. GoPros are nice, but they're finicky sometimes. Race officials there to the left. This part of the course was pretty iffy. I thought that our roll cage was going to dig into that embankment. We almost lost control right at the bottom there. Those studs sure would have helped. But I'll tell you, the qualifying laps really cleared out a lot of the snow, at least. You know, there was still quite a bit of snow on the track, but at least it wasn't pure snow. Without having those studs on there, it really would have hurt us a lot more than it did. All right, coming up, I blame myself as co-pilot. I should have had an arm out and a knife hand showing him left. If I would have known this course better, like a good co-pilot would do, then I could have guided him better on that. That's part of the reason I'm here as a co-pilot, to help him steer, to find alternate courses, alternate routes. Even though in this race it wasn't as applicable as it is in a lot of side-by-side races where there's a lot more different routes, and you know, racers are closer together and it's necessary to find alternate routes. But also I provide a counterweight and balance to the machine, as well as helping with traction with the added weight. This is a 4-mile track, and we do 4 laps. It says it's 4 miles, but Dan had read on his trip that it was about 5.2 miles each. Coming up, this is Sector 5. This is right where Dan had broke down on the qualifying lap. So it's toward the end of the first lap here. At this point, I got mud spattering inside of here. Right around in this area, it always happened. It was real spattery. I had 4 tear-offs on my goggles, and I used them all. Because you can't really tell from this video how much mud spatter there is in this area because I keep wiping the camera off. It was about 35 degrees, 35, 40 degrees. So, you know, it was cold out, but it wasn't too bad. If I had it to do over again, I'd probably wear gloves. I had gloves with me. But yeah, we were covered in mud by the end. And by the way,
Only reason we finished that race is because we had
surprised it's that flat.
Well,
Jeez, how long were we riding like that?
The last 2 laps. And I didn't
Like that?
And I didn't slow down. Yeah, I could feel it.
Even with tire balls, it goes that flat?
Oh yeah, they can. I might have popped a couple of the balls.
So despite all the adversity, no tire studs in a snow race, breaking down in the qualifying lap, which put us in the back row for the starting position, and a flat tire for the last 2 laps, we wound up finishing in the middle of the pack in 13th place out of 26 racers. So, not the greatest, but not terrible either, considering how we almost never even got to the starting line. But Dan was not going to allow anything to stop him from starting this race and finishing this race. So I'd like to give a big shout out to Dan himself. And once again, congratulations, Jimmy Moore, for winning that trophy for 3rd place in the pro class. Congratulations to you and your co-pilot, Andrew Savage. And also, a big thank you to Matthew Yurchison and Gary Yurchison for coming up and playing in the snow and helping to make all this possible. And for the rest of you watching this video, thank you for watching. If you have not yet, please subscribe and hit the like button. Leave a comment in the section below. Let me know what you think. I want to hear your opinions. Let it rip. And until next time, see ya!